Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope y'all are having a great day. And with no further ado, let me get into my MAC predictions for the upcoming season. If you haven't checked out my Power Conference predictions or my Pac-12 American Mountain West and Sun Belt predictions, I'll link them down in the bottom of this video so you guys can go check them out. And with no further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with week 0, a conference matchup between new conference opponent Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan. Neither school, I think, is going to be that great this year, but I am going to pick Eastern Michigan at home to get a win and give Sacramento State their first conference loss of their season. Moving on to week 1, where there's a lot of power conference games like Wake Forest should beat Akron, Rutgers should beat UMass, Nebraska should beat Ohio, Michigan should beat Western Michigan, Ohio State should beat Ball State, Pitt should beat Miami of Ohio, and South Carolina should beat Kent State, and Michigan State. I will beat Toledo, but we do have some non-conference games. But I do think Buffalo will beat. I think that's Albany. Yeah. Bowling Green, it might be tough because Tarleton State is one of the toughest FCS schools, and they did pull off an upset last year. But I think the Falcons will get the win. Sacramento State will get their first win against Mississippi State, Mississippi Valley State. But we do have some interesting MAC Mountain West games. San Jose State, Eastern Michigan, and New Mexico, Central Michigan. I do think the Lobos get that win. And then San Jose, Eastern Michigan, I feel like could be an interesting game. I pick San Jose State, but I actually think Eastern Michigan at home gets the win against the Spartans. Moving on to week 2. So a lot of non-conference game. UMass should beat um, Sacred Heart. Kent State should beat Wofford, I think that is. Yeah, Miami of Ohio should beat Holy Cross. Western Michigan should beat Monmouth. I think Ball State will beat Storybrooke. Central Michigan will beat Colgate Akron. I think that will beat Charleston Southern. No, Robert Morris. Um, and then Toledo should beat, I think that's Central Connecticut. Nebraska and Michigan State, I think, will beat Bowling Green and Eastern Michigan, but two MAC opponents against Big Ten schools, especially a Michigan battle here, could be close. Moving on, Buffalo, FIU. Buffalo team that I feel like is always stingy, taking on an FIU team that seems like they might be heading in the right direction. And I think I am going to take FIU at home. Ohio, Jacksonville State, another CUSA MAC game. I'm going to say the Bobcats win their first game of the year. And then Sacramento State taking on Fresno State. Sorry, Hornets, but I think they lose that game. Following a 1-2. Going on to week 3. Still have a lot of non-conference games. UMass will, I think, match they'll beat their title last year when they went winless. So they already have 2 wins, beating um Stonehill, and yeah, that's it. But I might start it off with Miami of Ohio at Cincinnati. Should be a fun non-conference game. Because this is a rivalry between these two Ohio programs. And you know what? I'm going to say Miami of Ohio pulls off the upset against the Bobcats. Moving on to Toledo hosting Temple. American MAC game. Could be a fun one. I think the Owls will be a sneaky team. But I'm going to say Toledo at home gets the win. Um, Ohio, South Alabama, Sun Belt MAC game. I think South Alabama gets the win. Penn State and Iowa State. I think win those games over Buffalo and Bowling Green. Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ohio State, I think, also win those games. But we do have some interesting games. Ball State going to Liberty. Ball State, not very good of a program. Liberty, kind of been on the decline, but I think the Flames get the win there. Western Michigan, Rice. I'm going to take Rice at home, even though I do think Western Michigan um, will be a match contender. I just don't think they can match up against a team like Rice from the American. Wyoming, Central Michigan. I'm going to say the Chippewas get a win there, and then Sacramento State, North Dakota State. Sorry, Hornets. I think the Bison win that game. As Sacramento State starting 1-3 in their first FBS season. We're on to week 4, right? Yeah. Still got some non-conference games like Ohio should beat Stonehill. Um, Buffalo should beat Robert Morris, and Eastern Michigan should beat Linderwood. But we've got UConn, Miami of Ohio. Another big non-conference game. They play at Cincinnati, or I think it's a neutral site game, and then they take on a UConn team that very much is scrappy. But yeah, I'm gonna say UConn does get the win. Jason Candle coming over from Toledo is gonna know how to compete in the MAC, and I think UConn, who was always a really good team, gets the win there. Went on to our second conference game, Ball State, Kent State. Two teams not that great. And I'm going to say Kent State at home gets a win there. UNLV goes to Akron, another big non conference game for the Rebels. I had UNLV winning, and I think I'm going to stick with that. Maybe going on the road to Akron could be tough, but I just think UNLV is a much better program than the Zips. That it might lead to some very much interesting stuff. Then we got Boise State, Western Michigan. So two Mountain West teams going on the road. Actually, three since San Diego State goes to Toledo. That's crazy. A battle of the Broncos. I mean, depending on how Boise State fares, because I think they've already would have played Oregon and Memphis, so this would be a huge matchup. And I'm gonna say Boise State on the road gets a win there. South Florida, Bowling Green. I'm gonna take the Bulls there. Sacramento State, UMass, two of some of the worst programs in this um, conference. UMass already matching their win total from last year. You know what? I'm going to say Sacramento State at home gets the win. They get their first MAC conference win and against a UMass team that isn't that great, but it'll be at least a boost of confidence for the Hornets. Miami, I think, takes care of business against Central Michigan. And then San Diego State, Toledo, that's back to back home games against mid major teams, Temple, San Diego State. I'm going to say the Aztecs on the road get the win. I think they definitely could and be a very interesting matchup to watch this upcoming season. Moving on to week 5, where we're fully into action. Western Michigan, Buffalo. Should be a fun game. Western Michigan, 1-3. They have a tough non-conference. I'm going to say they beat Buffalo, get that win there. Akron, Central Michigan. Both teams, I say, or no, Akron's 1-3. I'm going to say Central Michigan puts them at 1-4. Ohio, Kent State. Kent State 2-2 have that huge conference win over Ball State, but I'm going to say the Bobcats, even though there is some turnover from getting a new head coach, I think they're still a better program than Kent State. I think they get the win. Toledo, Ball State. Toledo, what are they sitting? They're sitting at 2-2. Ball State is sitting at 1-3. Toledo, new head coach, but I do like the staff and do think they're going to be good. But you know what? I'm going to say Ball State at home against the Toledo team that maybe Coming off a back to back tough games at home. Now having to go on the road. Ball State might take them by surprise. Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green. I think the Red Hawks get a win there, and then UMass, Eastern Michigan. Could UMass finally win their first MAC game since rejoining the MAC? Sitting at 2-2, Buffalo. I mean, Eastern Michigan's up here at 3-2. Mm, yeah, mm, it's a tough one to pick. Yeah, I'm gonna say UMass pulls off the win. They get their first MAC conference win since rejoining the conference last 2024. So I since rejoining the conference, Buffalo, Toledo. I think the Rockets get a win there. Central Michigan, Ohio. Should be a fun game between two teams. I think are in similar situations, and I'm gonna say Central Michigan on the road gets the win there. Kent State, Western Michigan. I think Western Michigan gets a win there. Akron, Eastern Michigan. Say the Zips get a win there. Miami of Ohio, UMass. Sorry, UMass. I do think they get a conference win, but it might just be a tough year. Sacramento State, Bowling Green. Sorry, Hornets. I say Bowling Green gets a win there. Then Northwestern, I think, beats Ball State. Moving on to week 7. Maction fully underway. Buffalo hosting UMass. I'm going to say the Bulls, or is it the Buffalo Bulls? Or Buffalo Toledo, Eastern Michigan. Both teams, I think, sitting at 3 wins. And I'm going to say Toledo on the road. Like the team a lot more and think they're going to be good. Ball State, Bowling Green. Both teams here at 2-4, so this would be a huge win. And I'm going to say the Falcons going to win there. Central Michigan, Western Michigan. Top two teams. I'm going to say Western Michigan on the road wins that one. Miami of Ohio, Akron. I'm going to go with Miami, Ohio at home. South Florida, I think, beats Kent State. And Ohio, Sacramento State. I'm going to say the Bobcats on the road. Actually, you know what? Uh, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm going to say Ohio, even though that is a long road trip to Sacramento State. But I'm going to say Ohio gets the win there. Moving on to week 8, Eastern Michigan at Ohio. I'm going to say Ohio gets the win there. UMass, UConn. I got the Huskies going to win there. Central Michigan, Miami of Ohio. Yeah, I'm going to say Central Michigan at home beats Miami of Ohio. I think they are going to be a really good team this year. And the Red Hawks are a contender, but I do think could be a interesting year. And you know what? I'm going to go back and switch that Sacramento State. I think at home, Sacramento State gets that win. Ball State, I think, beats Sacramento State here. Bowling Green, Buffalo. I'm going to go with Buffalo at home. Kent State, I think, beats Akron in a rivalry there. And then Western Michigan, sorry, Toledo, I think they get the win there. Moving to 5-3. A really not hard non-conference for the Broncos, but I think really are the favorite. Kent State, Sacramento State. Another one of those home games Sacramento State could win. Kent State is up here 3-5. Both teams are 3-5, but I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Sacramento State at home gets the win. Same with Western Michigan over Bowling Green. On to week 10. A lot of teams off the bye. Miami, Ohio, I think beats Buffalo. Ohio, Akron. I got the Bobcats going to win there. Ball State, UMass. I'm going to say UMass gets another conference win there. Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. I'm going to go with the Chippewas. And then Toledo, Sacramento State. I'm going to say the Rockets off the bye. Though it is a long road trip, take out Sacramento State. It is a long road trip, but maybe Sacramento's they're feeling themselves after plenty of huge um conference wins, and then they lose to a Toledo team um at home. Bowling Green, 10 State. Say Bowling Green gets the win there. Ohio, Miami of Ohio, a huge rivalry here, but I'm gonna say Miami of Ohio gets the win there. Western Michigan, Akron. I'm gonna go Western Michigan. I think they're really, really talented. UMass Toledo, like the Rockets, get another one there. Ball State, Buffalo should be a fun game, but I'm gonna say Buffalo gets the win there. Sacramento State, I think Central Michigan gets the win there. Sorry, Sacramento State. It's gonna be a tough season for the Hornets. Moving on to week 12, right? Their season's rapidly coming to an end. Ohio, I think, beats Ball State. Western Michigan, I think, beats Eastern Michigan to clinch their spot in the title game. Miami of Ohio, Kent State, I think Miami of Ohio gets a win there. Central Michigan, I'm going to say they lose to Buffalo. I'm going to say late in the year against a Buffalo team, trying to get the bowl eligibility, get the win there. Toledo eliminates Bowling Green from getting bowl contention. And then I'm going to say Akron's down here at 2-8, 4-6 UMass. I'm going to say Akron gets the win here. It's going to be a really tough season for the Zips. Finally, week 13, Kent State, Eastern Michigan. Down here, Eastern Michigan 3-8. Kent State also 3-8. Yeah, I'm gonna say Kent State wins. They do not do they don't record wise perform as well as they did last year, but I think this will be a step in the right direction for Kent State. Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan. I'm gonna say Miami of Ohio gets the win there. Buffalo, Akron. Say the I'm gonna say Buffalo gets the 7-5. Sorry, Akron. Toledo, Ohio. I'm gonna say Ohio at home gets a win, 7-5. Toledo will be a really good team this year, but because they're always seemingly really good, but I do think it won't be as good as like those other years under Jason Candle. Bowling Green beats UMass. Ball State, Central Michigan. Central Michigan finishes 8-4. Misses the title game, but still a really good year. And then Sacramento State loses, finishing 4-8, but a really good season, I feel like, for the Hornets and what is a very much transition year from moving to a conference they're thousands of miles away from. And the title game, Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio. I'm going to say the Broncos, they lose to Miami of Ohio in the regular season, but they get their revenge here, winning the MAC title game. I think the two best teams in this conference, and I think they meet for potentially a playoff spot depending on how each team's season goes. I know it's hard for like the MAC and Conference USA to really get any team because they usually have bad starts, and then it's a competitive conference, so they usually lose like a couple games in there that makes it hard for them to be over some of the top teams. But they do have some good non-conference matchups that maybe if they win some of those could lead to them maybe breaking through the way Western Michigan did. Maybe I think it was 10 years ago when they had that great team that nearly made it. But that'll do it for my 2026 MAC predictions. I'll have my Conference USA predictions out tomorrow to finish out my college football 2026 predictions. I'll have my playoff predictions um on August 28th, the day before week 0, so I can get them out before the season starts. But hope you guys enjoy the video. like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Go check me out on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and wherever else you find podcasts. And I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. But until then, hope you have a great day, and bye.